Jai Hind everyone. My name is Ashish Dixit. So friends, today we will discuss about the socket programming. Okay, this subject web technology, and web technology is also work on the behalf of client and server architecture. In a last lecture, I also discussed about the four types of architecture: one tier architecture, two tier architecture, three tier architecture. So today we will discuss about the n tier architecture. Then after we will come on the topic related to a socket programming. Okay. So here this is the n tier architecture. So here this is the n tier architecture. Here we will use a multiple types of tier, like tier 1, it's a database server. Second thing, these are a server application, server 1, and these are the web server application. These are a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and these are a application server 2, web application server 2. And all things will be balanced by the server load balance. Okay. And these are tier 4 is also called a client. These are server, these are tier, and these are application server and a web server, and this is the database. So the client send to the request to the server balance load. Okay, this server balance load through the send request to the web server, and this web server is sent to the application server, and application server also send the information to the database server. Through the database server we will fetch the information to the application server, and again got the information through the web server through the tier 3, and again set the server load balance and send the information sent to the response to the again client by the server. This concept is called a n-tier architecture with server load balancing. Okay. So application, if large, can be partitioned into the various small application. Logic among the different server, which is also a n-tier architecture. And n-tier architecture can also be implemented by introducing for more dedicated server for a different task: database server, application server, web server, and point server file server. Okay. So here these are a client. This client send the request by the use the hypertext transfer protocol through the web pages. These are a web server, provided the web page client by the static web page. This web server send to the information to the application server. These are a application server, and also use the CI common gateway interface, and also have the script for a dynamic content and send the database request to the database server. And this application server send to the request to the database server running in a database management system. Then he will get the information through the database server, application server. Application send the information to the web server, and web server send to the information to the client in the behalf of hypertext transfer protocol. So n-tier architecture, we have the segregated, divided each at different tier, which also help into find error. If web server is creating performance problem, another web server can be introduced by using of server load balancing software. So we have multiple types of benefit if we are use a n-tier architecture. First, different aspects of the application. can be developed and rolled out independently. Next thing, server can be optimized separately for database and application server function. Next thing, server can be sized appropriately for the requirement of each tier of the architecture. So here I also use a Butler pyramid model of the client server computing, or also called a Butler group value model. Okay, right now all business logic or a business model will be follow of this Butler group value model. So here in a first point we will discuss about the infrastructure, about our business model. Second thing, it's also work in the middleware architecture. Next thing, which types of application it will be used. Third thing, what is the storage process of our business. And next thing, business model. What are you want to see of business model to another guys. These are a peak point. Main things, this will be shown to the client. This process is called a Butler group value model. Here we will use a layer, infrastructure layer. It contains those components which do not perform business function. Operating system, network, graphical user interface, DBMS. Second thing, middleware layer. It's allow application or program to communicate other program on the network regardless its location. It map application to resource they will use. Next thing, network connection, database connection. This layer add value through the specialization. It is used for a programming that allow a transparent communication between pre-existing application. It provide a message to the services. Next thing, layer 3, application layer. It is most active component which is always in use for a organization. Work application be chosen for a variety of the vendors. Two types of application here we will use. Application which are not of a great importance are purchased in a bulk, like antivirus from a market as a ready-made product. Next thing, application which are of importance to the organization are developed in-house product. Next thing, layer 4 is called a repository or a store. It's called a storage point. It is a store where the transaction of vital information is stored. It is isolates business model from tool terminology is used to implement. Next thing, a business model independent of all technologies in a market that are used to implement it. They are independent of hardware and software environment. For examples, we'll use any object-oriented based business model. Okay, these topic was remaining in our last lecture. Then again we will proceed a socket programming. What is socket programming? A socket provides the communication. A socket provides the communication between two computers through the use of transmission control protocol. Next thing, a client program create a socket for a communication. A server create a socket for a communication. Means client and server both will be create a socket for a communication. When connection will be create, then communication will be start. Means suppose you are a student and I am a teacher. And for the communication, we have a one types of socket like a Hindi or a English language that will be both are communicate, both are comfort in this language. Similar way, this is called a socket. Means client's program create a socket for a communication and server create a socket for a communication. Both socket will be communicate with each other in a similar language. Means socket is just like a language that will be communicate with each other. Both client and server will be ease understand of this particular communication. When connection made, then communication start. Okay. After the connection are established, communication can occur using input-output stream. Each socket has both an output stream and an input stream. The client output stream is connected to the server's input stream and the client input stream is connected to the server output stream. So here TCP is a two-way communication protocol. Hence data can be sent across both streams at the same time. Means client output stream is connected to the server input stream and client input stream is also connected to the server output stream. Both transmission control protocol is a two-way communication protocol. Hence data can be sent across the both streams at the same time. Here I use a java.net.server socket. Class is used by the server application to obtain a port and listen for the client request. When the server socket invokes the accept, when the server socket invokes accept method, then the method does not return until a client connects. तब तक नहीं response करेगा. Next, after a client does connect, then server socket creates new socket on a port and returns a reference to the new socket. Next thing, a transmission control protocol connection now exists between the client and the server and the communication can begin. Okay. Next, the java.net socket class represents the socket that both the client and server use to communicate with each other. Next, the client obtains a socket object by instantiating one where the server obtains a socket object from the return value of the accept method. Next thing, when the socket constructor returns, it does not simply instantiate a socket object, but it actually attempts to connect to the specified server and port. Examples, here client sent a message and server receives it. This is the program. This is the server based program. I import java.io string, import java.net asterisk, public class my server. Here we will create a my server. Then publish static void main string args try server socket ss is the object. Then server socket is a class. Then it's also create object new server socket and pass that 4 times 6. Then socket s is equals to ss.accept. This is the method and establish the connection. Then data input stream this is equals to new object. Then data input stream s.get input stream. Then string str this dot read utf. Then system out dot println message plus string ss close. Then catch exception system dot out dot println. These are exception create. Next thing, again process import the Java iOS string, import java.net class my client, then public static void main string args, try socket as this is the object, then new socket localhost, then data output stream, out create it, then data output stream, get the information, then out the hello server, then dot.flash, dot.close, then s.close, then catch exception will be created. Okay, how to run the socket program? First, open two commands on a window. First, one command window, compile and run server. Second, in a second command window, compile and run client program. Next thing, output hello server message will display on a server. First, open two command window. Second thing, first one command window, compile and run server program. Second thing, second command window, compile and run client program. Then next examples. The next examples, client will write first to the server, then server will receive and print the text. Then server will write to the client and client will receive and print the text, and step goes to server program. Okay, so here this is the program. Import java.net, import java.io. Here we will create a class my server 1. Then again use a PSVM public static void main string args and throws the exception Then again we will create a server socket on a local host. Then server socket also create a server socket object ss, new server socket and pass the local host address. Then socket s is equals to ss.accept, use the accept function. Then also use the data input stream and data output stream. Here we will create and call the s.get input stream and data output s.get output stream method. Then we will create a buffer reader, also create object by br, a new buffer reader and also pass the new input stream reader system.in. Here we will string use the str2, then while str equal to, then stop, then str, then read the utf, then system.out.println client says, then str2, then read line, then write the utf str2, then again the flush. Then there is a close and close method. Okay, these are a client, and similar way we'll also create a new program for the client. Thank you very much.